Hello, my name is Dr. Amber Hughes. This is the second episode of my career counseling series. This series is designed not to counsel you regarding your careers, but for those of you who want to do career counseling. In this episode, I am talking about career counseling in a postmodern world. You should listen to episode 1 before you listen to this one. It will give you context. Speaking of context, I have found that I use that word, a lot, which got me thinking. A lifetime ago, I was just getting started in my PhD program. I remember having a conversation with a friend who asked me if I felt really smart now since I was getting my PhD. My response? No. I said, I feel like I know even less now. I had just started a new class, a qualitative research class, and had stepped into a world where I didn't know the language. They were talking about paradigms and ontology, saying words like constructivism and constructionism, postmodern versus modern versus what? My head hurt after that first class. I felt like I literally knew nothing and was on a different planet. Hence my PowerPoint. If you're listening to this as a podcast, I'll just tell you that for the image on my title slide, I Googled post-apocalyptic. Maybe I watched too many prepper shows, but that's where my brain goes when I think of postmodern. My point is this. I'm going to use some terms that are confusing and hard to grasp. I am choosing to use them anyway because the more you hear them, the more you will understand them. I will do my best in this episode and the upcoming ones to break down these theories for you in an understandable and most importantly, an applicable way. But first, context. As I've been recording these lectures, I have noticed that context is one of my favorite words, so I thought I should explain it a little bit. When I Googled context, here's the definition that beloved search engine gives me. Context refers to the circumstances that form the setting for an event, statement, or idea, and in terms of which it can be fully understood and assessed. Emphasis on in terms of which it can be fully understood and assessed. I'm going to start this episode with a little bit about myself and how I came to buy into this postmodern career counseling thing. I talk about myself for two reasons. First, my worldview and theoretical orientation is based largely on social constructionism. And I'm going to explain more about social constructionism in another episode. But what it means for right now is that I am who I am because of my culture and environment and the people in my life. So I fully believe that in order for you to best understand me, you need to know a little bit about me. Second is the word assessed. I tell you about myself so that you can listen with a grain of salt, so to speak. You may not agree with some of the postmodern theories. That's fine. This is about you figuring out what your view of career counseling is. You do this through your own cultural lens. And so you need to know why I have come to believe this in order to figure out if it fits best for you, if that makes sense. Okay, now on to me. So about me just a little bit. So I'm from a small, rural, fairly poor town in southern Indiana. The county as a whole is extremely poor. I was a first-generation college student. I actually went to get my undergraduate degree on a scholarship for students who are first-gens and who are from low socioeconomic status families. I got my master's degree from Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's a private university. There are a lot of wealthy students there. I worked while I was at Vandy as a school counselor for at-risk students. So I was seeing a wide range of students. I also did a little bit of career planning work at Vanderbilt. And so I was, again, seeing kind of a wide range of students from really high achieving to really low achieving, highly at-risk students. I loved working as a school counselor for at-risk students. It was at an alternative school south of Nashville. And I loved it so much that I then took a job as an academic advisor, working primarily for at-risk students. And then I went on to work as a career counselor, where I taught career planning classes for, again, at-risk students. And this is really what led me to postmodern theories. Through my career counseling work, I often became frustrated because interest inventories didn't help. So many students knew what they wanted to do. Interests were not the issue. Rather, skills or lack of skills, a lack of money, a lack of knowledge, and when I say knowledge, I'm talking about career knowledge, family issues, just a wide range of things were what really impacted people's career choices most of all. Universities, at least the universities I've worked at, often responded to the high dropout rate of at-risk students. That means that very few at-risk students and at-risk students, especially at the university level, are identified by low GPAs, things like being first-generation college students from a low SES family, and so on. Okay, so students who fall into those categories, especially if they fall into multiple categories, are highly at risk to drop out of school. That's why we call them at risk. But what these universities tended to do was required all undecided students take an interest inventory or take a career planning class, and often the career planning classes are kind of designed around like interests inventories and that kind of career planning model. It didn't seem to help at all for a lot of my students. And if you listened to me talk about myself, you'll note that I was also an at-risk student when I was entering into college. First gen, low SES background, and so I was considered at risk. And I noticed early on in my undergraduate work, actually, I remember one of my first psychology research papers was about college aspirations. And what I noticed is that I was in college and a lot of people from my hometown weren't going to college. And I wondered what the difference was between me and them. So there were certainly personality differences in terms of, I was like highly motivated. I am the oldest of 6. And if you know much about firstborns, you'll know we're all expected to do everything. But so there were certainly personality differences, but not much of a personality difference. Not enough of personality differences to make up for something that I thought most of my classmates and the people from my hometown were capable of doing, which was going to college. The difference, as I have come to realize over the course of time, was my family. My family expected me to go to college. They pushed me to go to college. They supported me to go to college, and they helped get me there. So for me, that was the biggest difference. And that family impact is something that has my personal impact by my family, in addition to my work with at-risk students, has led me to understand that family does make a difference. And that's why I am so drawn to these postmodern theories. Okay. And as I go through the different theories, you'll see how they consider things like family, whereas some of the older theories don't. And then in my dissertation, I really honed in on my theoretical orientation and what I wanted to find out about these students, about these underprepared college students, and what was going on for them. All right. So, you know a little bit about me and how I came to this point. Now I want to give you a little context about the world of career counseling. Much of this is taken from the Pope article that I can share with you. So career counseling started off because of a desire to place people into jobs. Pope identifies these different stages of career counseling. So that first stage was a need to place people into jobs. This was around the end of the 1800s, early 1900s. This was due to a loss of agriculture jobs and a rise in industrial jobs. The Industrial Revolution was at that time. We also had a lot of soldiers returning from World War I. These guys needed jobs, okay? Also, this industrial revolution, were the jobs that some of us might be more familiar with. These are like long-term, stable jobs that we still are drawn to, I think, okay? So we got a lot of people who need jobs, and we need to help them get into jobs. Okay, so that was how career counseling came to be, this need for job placement services. We weren't worried about interests or anything like that then. We were just worried about getting people to work. Okay, now we want to fast forward to the 60s. It's the era from the 60s to the early 80s. And you get a rise in the belief that people should be working in jobs that have meaning and that are interesting to them. This was a pretty big shift, and we're skipping a couple stages here, but a pretty big shift from this need to place people into jobs. And now we're moving on to things like you can be anything you want to be. What do you want to be? Right? What do you want to do for a living? So this idea that it's not about placing people into jobs, it's about career choice, okay? It's about finding meaning from your work. This idea probably sounds even more familiar to many of us, okay? This was kind of when I grew up, this idea of what do you want to do, okay? When I first started off career counseling, one of my favorite questions used to be, if you could be anything in the world, don't think about your parents or reality, what would you be? This question is the result of that stage of career counseling. Notice I said this used to be my favorite question, but I'll get to that later. Fast forward again to now. According to the article, we are now in a place where career counseling focuses on multicultural counseling and school-to-job transition, as well as an increase in technologies. Keep in mind that this article was published in 2000. Right now we're looking at a 17-year difference. So likely we're moving on to kind of a different phase, although I would say that a lot of this is still true. So we're still focused on multicultural counseling. We're still pushing for that school to work transition. I think they're calling it, college career readiness right now. I would also add to that the trend of precarious work or the gig economy. And this is also playing a large part in how we should be career counseling our clients. Again, you can hear more about my thoughts on these trends in episode 1. Now I want to talk more about postmodern career counseling. But wait, first I want to talk about theories in general. What do theories do for us? In the social sciences, theories seek to explain human behavior, why we do what we do. In career counseling specifically, theories try to explain how we either progress or develop in our careers and how we make career choices. So when I talk about traditional theories, I am referring to the older career counseling theories. These theories were developed to address specific career needs, to place people in jobs in a specific time. Jobs were long-term and stable then, okay? These theories also developed out of a larger trend in theories that assumed there was one truth. By this, I mean that the theorist or expert just needed to figure out that one truth and capture it. Then we could take that information and apply it to people. So take interest inventories, for example. They developed from Holland's theory of personality that says that people can be put into one of 6 categories. And once that person knows which category she fits into, she can choose a job from that same category and she will be satisfied with it, according to Holland's theory. It's all about perspective and the placement of knowledge. With traditional theories like Holland, the belief is that I, as the counselor, know more about you, the client, than you do. So my job is to discover things about you by giving these assessments with pre-designed categories. Then I can tell you where you best fit and what you should do. Now, so I just want to take a side note here and say that I talk a lot about postmodern theories and about how we should use them. That does not mean that I don't use Holland's codes. I use Holland's codes. That does not mean that I don't understand the value that these traditional theories added to the career counseling field. Okay? So you can read that in different career counseling textbooks. But what they did was, first of all, especially for those of you mental health counselors out there, it's important to note that all counseling started with career counseling. I think that sometimes career counseling gets a little less respect, and so I'd like to point that out, that career counseling started it all. What career counseling also started was a lot of the trends in assessments. So career theorists like Holland, oh my gosh, they did so much for us. They started or kind of set the framework for things like a lot of the websites we use to do career research. They organized all these careers into different categories. They developed these assessments that are so well researched, okay? So they did a lot for our field. However, we should use them within the theories that are most appropriate for us in this world. Okay? So moving on to postmodern theories. Postmodern career theories grew from the idea that there is no one truth. That truth is subjective. This means that what is true for me is different from what is true for you, because I am a different person with a different culture, different beliefs and experiences, different values and skills, and so on. So I cannot put you into a category. Rather, I can help you discover who you are, and then we can start talking careers. With postmodern theories, we assume that you as the client know more about yourself than I do. Okay? And to me, that just rings true. How can I tell you about yourself when I don't know you or I've just met you? So my job is to help facilitate your change and to learn about you with the understanding that I may impact your thoughts and beliefs in the process, especially if you don't know a whole lot about careers. Now, that doesn't mean that we as career counselors don't educate our clients within these postmodern career theories. Absolutely. We're going to talk about careers. I can tell you that I know more about careers than you do, and I'm comfortable with that. What I can't tell you is what you should do because I don't know you. So my job is to listen, to learn, to help you understand yourself, and to help you understand the world of careers. Okay? Does this make any sense? I know how confusing these theories are, okay, in all of these terms. So just power on through. So postmodern career counseling is career counseling using postmodern career theories. These theories are based on a larger umbrella of postmodern theories within the social sciences. So what they've done is they've grouped these theories into, I can't even remember them all right now, but there's modern, there's postmodern, there's 4 or 5, I'll call them categories, okay? I think the word is something else, paradigms or ontologies, all those words that I learned in my qualitative research class. So we're going to call them categories, all right? So you've got these theories that are grouped into categories within the social sciences, and these postmodern theories are the newest ones, okay? The career theories are specific to career counseling. They've been developed by career counselors or vocational psychologists, but they're drawing from these, I'm calling them umbrella theories, okay, even though that's not necessarily the term. These larger umbrella theories, all right? So we're pulling from those concepts and making them specific to careers. These newer theories have been developed for a couple of reasons. First, these postmodern theories better address the needs of our clients in the changing world of work. As I've mentioned, people no longer stay in jobs for long periods of time. Therefore, those traditional theories, or the older ones like the Holland's theories, that focus on fitting people into jobs are not as useful as standalone theories, because likely people are going to change. As I mentioned in the previous episode, people are changing jobs a lot. Sometimes they're changing careers. And so whenever we're doing career counseling, just using those traditional theories, we may not be helping our clients very much. We may be helping them for right now, but we're not really helping to prepare them for the future. These theories are useful, maybe not as theories though, but they're useful as tools. Okay, so like I said, I still use the traditional assessments. I just use them within a framework of these postmodern theories. Excuse me. We have to counsel people knowing that people can't always be what they want to be. They don't make choices in a vacuum, and they are probably going to change jobs and or careers in a couple of years. Now, Savickas, and this is from the Busaka and Rifus text, says, and I quote, "Clients and counselors should not concentrate on choice in a world where there is much uncertainty and fewer choices. Instead, they should concentrate on meaning making," end quote. Okay, so these ideas that we can be anything we want to be aren't so much anymore. That's not necessarily the case. And so when he talks about meaning making, what does he mean? Okay, this means that we help people figure out who they are and what work means for them based on their experiences and life circumstances. Because sometimes people don't want to or can't be anything they want to be. Sometimes people just want a job. Sometimes people have to have a job. Sometimes people make decisions based on their family. Okay, I would argue that one happens a lot of times, or because of where they live. We see that traditional theories are more linear. Okay, so they assume that we're going from career experiences, maybe early on in our life, to career training, maybe like college, to career choice, I'm choosing a major, to career, okay? So let's say when I was young, I liked to play with animals. I love dogs. That fits. I always wanted to be a veterinarian. So those are my early career experiences. And so I decided to go to college, and I major in pre-veterinary. I get through my undergraduate degree, and I get into vet school. I graduate from vet school, and I go to be a vet, okay? That's a very linear path, and that's what I think a lot of us assume happens with careers, okay? But the fact is that doesn't happen very often. And so I know most of you probably haven't experienced that linear path. You're just thinking probably that you're the anomaly and that everyone else has that linear path, which is absolutely not the case, okay? Savickas, again, suggests that careers are changing, and so we need to use theories that account for this new way of working. So we're seeing people, as I've mentioned before, we're seeing people not go this linear path. So I've got friends who graduated with a degree in oh goodness, dietetics. She worked as a dietitian for a while, and then she went back to school to be, she went to cosmetology school, and now she is a hair stylist, okay? That's a very non-linear path, and that happens, again, more often than we think. And so if we use those traditional career theories, we're assuming that this linear path occurs when it doesn't, and so we need to adjust our theories, the theories that we use, to account for the fact that people aren't making that linear, they don't have that linear trajectory. And then we have Bluestein and his colleagues, and these guys and gals suggest that traditional theories do not account for people who have no choice in their lives and must work to make money. And so I'm going to talk about these different theories specifically in upcoming episodes, because while they fit under the same umbrella of postmodern theories, they do have different takes on things. So Bluestein is considering the role that family and culture, and also the fact that, again, most people have to work just to work, okay? Some people don't work at all. Some people are stay-at-home moms. And he says that most people, in fact, fall into this category, and so we need to have theories that account for that, okay? So yeah, these traditional theories that focus on fitting you into a job are useful, but they don't consider context. And sometimes context is everything. Just consider yourself. Think about your own academic and career choices. I'm willing to bet there was at least one other person involved in some of your major decisions at some point in your journey. Traditional theories don't talk about that, though. Postmodern theories say, of course your family is important. Let's hear how they are playing a role in your career. And that is why I want us to learn the postmodern theories. In the upcoming episodes, I'm going to be looking at each of these postmodern theories. I'm not going to talk specifically about the traditional theories as standalone approaches. I will talk about how you might use the traditional theories and assessments within the newer approaches to career counseling. You're going to find that you like some of the theories, and you may not be as fond of the others, and that's fine. What I want you to do is take away those things that you're drawn to, and not necessarily throw out those things you don't like, but consider how they may work for you or when they may work for you in your career counseling. Thank you.